Hi, Christos Paloukas here, performance engineer, Presidium managed WordPress hosting, coming in from my own home. Here today with me, I have Alex Nitu. Hi, Alex. Want to say hi to everyone?
Hey, Christos. Hey, everyone. It's amazing to be here. I'm excited to dive into this.
Super exciting to have you too. Do you want to introduce yourself to the crowd?
Sure. So I'm Alex. Last name is a bit hard to pronounce, so let's just call it Al or Alex. I'm a product manager and technical strategist at Crowd Favorite, and have been in this web development tech space for more than a decade now. And so yeah, this is where I am. I can tell you a bit more if you want to, but I think as a starter, that should be good, right?
Yeah, whatever you want. Do you want to talk about your, before we get into the questions, how does it feel to have almost closed or maybe entirely closed a decade in IT? How do you feel about that?
It feels great. I mean, it feels like I've gotten to the point where I felt I should have been ever since I was a kid.
Oh, wow. That's cute.
A passion since I was a little boy. Like folks, primary school colleagues were wanted to be space engineers or firemen or whatever. I always knew that, and despite my parents calling BS on it, like, yeah, you're never gonna work from home, you're never gonna make money out of just wasting your time in front of a computer or playing games or whatever. But yeah, it felt like I knew already to where I'm supposed to go, and yeah, it feels good to just prove myself through, right? Prove myself right.
In relief, I guess. So I'm thinking in 6th grade, we did the career thing, what you wanted to be when you grow up, and I chose a programmer analyst. I didn't know what that was. I wanted to change it. As soon as I went to high school, I wanted to be a music teacher. But then computer happened again. Just think it away. You excited.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right. And I mean, there's two paths for me. Sort of like in a different universe, I maybe would have been a professor or something with languages, but not like programming languages, because that's something that I found out early on as well, that I had a knack sort of for learning new languages and stuff, and that very easily or translates very well between programming and computers and gathering tech specs and translating tech speak to business logic, and then that translates super well with French, English, Romanian, blah blah blah, all the regular languages, let's call them.
Yeah, especially if you could make all those connections too between, like, I don't know, the actual coding language and trying to translate that into human for people to understand what it's for.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess that comes with time too. And at Crowd Favorite, you guys, what do you want to tell us about Crowd Favorite?
Sure. Absolutely, yeah. So we're a web development agency specializing in open source for the enterprise, meaning DXP, so composable systems, digital presences that are built on open source and WordPress, and built in such a way that we're able to solve these enterprise needs and requirements, which most of the time are a bit more finicky or special or I mean, different than your run-of-the-mill web apps or websites.
Yeah, that makes sense. Expectations do go through the roof too.
Yeah, for sure. And then recently, with me just being the little special snowflake that I end up being every time, we've started our products department as well that I'm currently heading, which it has been going on for almost 5 years now, 3-4 years maybe. Yeah. So that's a funny story, really. It really just started with, as soon as I started onboarding at Crowd Favorite, I went ahead and started digging and exploring and going through the rabbit hole of all the various ops and methodologies and processes and documents and stuff that maybe I shouldn't necessarily be privy to or be relevant to me. And then I found out of this whole rabbit hole that, hey, look, there's DXPs and there's some cool ideas here, there's some innovation going on, which I felt like I wanted to be a part of, and I had something to say about it. And that just snowballed really quickly into for better or worse, grabbing the CEO's attention and having his eyes on me, and that eventually ended up in a very nice friendship and mentorship between the two of us. But yeah, that's how it all started. It was just me being curious and trying to read stuff or learn about stuff that weren't necessarily in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, that's cool. I guess you actually showed that you cared. So you actually showed the interest, like pure, true interest, and it really worked.
Yeah, for sure. And this is I think this is one of the special things with Craft Favorite. I'm always an evangelist for this whenever we have a new hire or I talk about Craft Favorite. Folks are super open there. Like, it's very easy to cut through any sort of red tape or directly voice your opinion and your input at whatever level in the company and in regards to anything really. And I think that's where the special sauce is, really, where we're able to have this type of interdepartmental, inter-team communications that just helps us level up our products and services and the way we do things. A PM or a sales engineer will have a completely different view on a particular project as opposed to just the technical architect.
That's great. I mean, it sounds like you guys have really good communication across the team.
We try. I mean, we're spread across all over the globe, so
Yeah.
obviously that's a challenge when you're not just working side by side, elbow to elbow. But I think we're able to make it work well. Yeah.
Yeah, we do the remote working at Presidium too. It's usually almost always remote. It has been for me since 2017. You mentioned you mentioned enterprise WordPress before, and I think it's like a great way to segue into our first question that has to do with what inspired you personally to explore the enterprise side of WordPress and how that influences what you do today, your work today.
Sure, absolutely. So listen, I think I've already started answering this a little bit with a bit of my background and knowing that I want to do programming and build software ever since I was a kid. And so that really started with games and gaming, and I dabble in that. I try my hand at it, but it didn't feel like I don't know. It didn't feel right at the time. Then the next step was trying something a bit maybe easier or something that had a bit more immediate results or immediate feedback out of what I was trying to do. So that ended up being websites and web development, which I think it's the 80% path that all folks that want to learn web development go through, which is finding out about WordPress and trying your hand at it, and starting with just the bare bones. Let's set up a WordPress instance and install a couple of plugins and make it our own and figure out what we're able to do with it, to the point where you actually start building stuff on your own and actually writing code. And then with PHP being that straightforward and easy to get into, with such a low barrier of entry between WordPress and PHP, that's where I really made my first steps into web development. And that ballooned and expanded, and I leveled up and learned things and got even more excited and passionate about stuff, to a point where it felt like I could do more, or that I didn't have the challenges that I was really looking for. Knowing what I knew at the time about WordPress and the web development space and all the various innovations that in this industry happen every couple of weeks, I felt like I could do more. Like, there's a challenge that's waiting for me just around the corner. And so that ended up being enterprise work, big projects for big clients that have very strict requirements or very discrete needs and higher stakes in a sense. And then part of that was seeing how these proprietary walled garden solutions, closed source solutions, how they weren't really providing the value that they should have, or they either were too cost prohibitive, or they had way too much vendor lock-in, or needed a dedicated resource to to know how to actually use it and handle it and manage it. It felt like there's a better way for it. And so open source really opened my eyes to it, to how we can build things better and provide more value and give back to a community and be part of something bigger than just yourself or your own project. So yeah, all of that to say, I started step by step, little by little, with just again regular default WordPress installs. Then moved on into government agencies, which again started having these stricter requirements and more bespoke needs, and security concerns and all of that. And that's where I actually absolutely, yeah. So that's when I actually was able to build something with WordPress that solved these sort of particular needs and solved it well, with folks being happy up until today. I still get regular maintenance emails from this government agency. I think 8 years down the line. And folks forwarding me these emails and telling me, oh, look, this works well, this is perfect, thank you so much again, let's catch up, this is great, this is still working. I mean, yeah, that's great.
Positive feedback from government agencies. In Greece, no one would probably ever reply to you. They would just forget about it.
It sort of feels like it was the exception rather than the rule here as well. I was lucky to be a part of a very young and dynamic team that actually wanted to make a change and leave something better than how they found them. Unfortunately, that government agency ended up being dissolved, and the app got picked up by a different department there. But that's how it goes with governments, in a sense, I feel like. But yeah, it went through a bunch of hands and a bunch of teams, and looks like it's still working. Which, to be honest, I personally didn't really expect that. But yeah. Just goes to show the power of open source and WordPress, where it's not one person that needs to maintain it. It's a community that gives and takes at the same time, right?
Definitely. It's like what we talked about before. When there's genuine interest in something, I don't know, could I even say love around it? It's going to grow. Anything you love, it will flourish.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a passion, right? I mean, I think there's the better half, or the larger half of web developers and tech professionals do have a passion for this. I don't think it's easy to code if you don't actually love it, or if you're not really passionate about it. It kind of feels, I would imagine it feels boring to just look at text all day long and not be passionate about, oh my God, it works. That eureka moment. Yeah,
it's all about the eureka moment. It's all about that one moment when you say, yes, I did it.
Yeah. When you actually start to see it working and everything falls into place. Yeah, for sure.
With WordPress and crowd favorite, how do you, what role do you think WordPress plays in the strategy of building, what's the word, a composable digital experience?
Sure. So open source in of itself is such a huge plateau, or a huge area. If you say open source, there's so many things and so far away in between that can mean a lot of things. For WordPress in particular, I feel like it's or not necessarily in particular for WordPress, but with any sort of open source project or solution or community or package, it's very much about what it's aimed to do. It's part of your tool set in a sense, and you need to figure out how that fits into your project. So there might be projects where maybe WordPress isn't really a thing, isn't really something that we consider just because of that particular project's requirements and needs. But for the most part, I think WordPress has this pedigree and has this preponderance across companies and individuals and Fortune 500 enterprises, where it's easy in a sense, or it's comfortable, it's you know it, right? It's personal in a sense. Not to say that the admin UI is the best ever. There's certainly better alternatives and worse alternatives, but it's that ease. It's like an old friend, right? You've seen it once, or you've seen it somewhere, or you've played around with it once. So now when you see it again, it feels good. It feels easy. It's not an additional point of stress in your day-to-day work, right? It's cozy, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
So,
Oh yeah.
while you're making that whole conversation, I'm thinking about what kind of sites though, because it originally started off as blog sites, but then, I don't know, blogs turned into something else turned into e-commerce turned into e-learning, and it's really fun to take like the beast and try to form it, I don't know, make it come out the way you want it to come out for your own purpose. Like, I don't
Yeah, for sure.
what would you say is like the general, this is just a random question, but what would you say the general purpose or goal for just the general WordPress is at the end of the day? It could be anything.
So let me preface this by saying, as a very personal and subjective opinion, I don't really see or I don't think end users need to have a CMS, need to have an admin screen, because you're kind of giving them the tools to shoot themselves in the foot. For the most part, or the 80% use case again, they just need a website. They won't really need to admin it or have a CMS for it or have all of these various tools and functionality available to them. Maybe they want to edit a line of text. Maybe they want to publish a new page. That should be much more constrained. But really, as a developer, let's say, being in the trenches and dealing with bugs and tasks and tickets day in and day out, most of the times I feel like it's wasted effort when it could have been that much easier or more efficient or more productive to just ask me or ask the technical guy to deal with that, and that'll be it. Which, if you have a content team as well, they can very easily work hand in hand. But again, for enterprises and for DXPs, for this modular type of projects, these modular architectures, open source feels like it's the perfect fit. Like it's the glove for the hand, right? Where you are able to mix and match and pick and choose the best of breed and the ideal tool for your particular need. So what does WordPress serve? What's its goal? What's its purpose? I think it can be a lot. Sure, you could say it's a framework that you're able to build a blog website with from start to finish, and link and connect it to MailChimp and add in an e-commerce solution to it as well. Or it could just be a simple page manager or content manager tool. And we've built this already for one of our clients, where you get the WordPress experience with most of the CMS in there, but really all that data store is inside of a Laravel system that talks with additional entities and has an app tied to it and integrates and aligns data between a couple additional integrations as well. So really, I think there's no one true answer to rule them all here. It's very much about your particular given use case. It can do anything. It could just be a static site builder. It could be a multi-site, and it could be so much more. Could be our
Lots about
native mobile app. Yeah.
lots out there.
That's what I love about WordPress and open source. It's that much modular. You get to play with it and build really what you want to build, and just pick what fits best and what you're comfortable with as well.
Yeah, and the huge community, so you'll definitely find at least one other person that's interested in what
For sure.
I could do. So.
Absolutely, yeah. The community is so nice and so open and willing to share and help. And yeah, there's this insane library of plugins and themes and functionality that you just get to plug and play with. That's such a low barrier of entry. I don't know if I would be here if not for WordPress.
Yeah, that's great. That's amazing. And keep evolving too. The block editor really helped a lot of people with the functionality, all the themes ready for people to just take and customize. Yeah. I think we squeezed in 3 questions into one, but I'm gonna say that we're going to meet the second question and just believe it anyway. Second question: you come from an IT background, but now you've kind of made a transition, haven't you, into more of a project management or a technical project management role. What can you tell me about that?
Sure. So this is as I was saying at the start, this product department that I spearheaded, and that's virtue of just being a bit louder than the rest, or a bit more chatty than the rest, and having a vision there, or having something to say. At that point, we ended up creating this product department, and now I help the active projects and the active development team as well, with technical strategy and leadership there. But I also work on these products that we're building, which again are also aimed for the enterprise, are also WordPress based for the most part. So how to transition there, or what my road or my journey to up to this point was. Again, this will be very subjective. Your experience might vary, and you might find a better path that's completely different. But really, for me, it all started with this communication, with the ability to chat with folks. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't easy for me at all. One of the main factors that I wanted to be a programmer and that I enjoy writing code and building this type of software products and solutions was that I didn't have the variability, the gray area between the two. I didn't have somebody else a person that, as we all are, can fail or can miss the mark, and that's why we're human, right? We're here to fail and learn and repeat the cycle over and over again. When with computers, it's just ones and zeros, right? It's super binary. It's always black or white. It will never argue against you if it's not right. Right, the computer will always be right at the end of the day. So it felt good, or it felt easy to work that way, to do that, because again, I didn't have any sort of pushback. I didn't have to deal with the stress of dealing with humans. And in a sense, I'm a very introvert person. I'm not really a fan. I'm not really the person to be open and be super chatty and do networking and all of that. So it was a challenge. It was a very, very difficult challenge to get to the point. But really, this is what I felt kickstarted this journey. Being able to speak up, being able to voice my opinions, and go against my instinct to just shut up and deal with my own code, and let the folks that need to worry about this worry about it, and I just need my task, and let me just build this stuff and build it great. But at some point, I just couldn't stop myself. I couldn't just bite my tongue and not say anything. I felt like, look, maybe there's a better option here, or I'm not really understanding why we're doing this. Like, what's the vision here? And this is how I've always been, and this is how I've always been able to learn new things and get excited about stuff. It's not enough for me to just give me the scope or the context or the information that's only relevant to me. I need to know the larger context. I need to understand why we're actually doing this, why we're building this, or why are we using open source. So the whole context, the strategy, the vision for it, I really need to be on board and to be aligned with it to actually be effective and to have my teammates be happy with me, right? And so that's where it all started. It all started with me asking questions and being more vocal than the rest. Because let's be honest, that's what I was really wanted to say. Tech people and devs and engineers, are usually silent, right? They don't usually speak up. They're not usually that communicative. They're just not shut-ins. I mean, I'm not saying that's it's bad. I love it. I would, if possible, I would just keep myself closed off at home and not do anything and just not deal with the world. But yeah, I just couldn't help myself. I had to start chatting and voice my opinion and ask questions and all of that. And so out of all of that communication, what ended up happening was I myself and the folks around me, my teammates, figured out that, hey, look, maybe Alex has some good ideas. Maybe his feedback or his opinion is worth spending the extra time listening to him ramble on for however long. So yeah, all of that to say, really the first step is work on your soft skills, work on that emotional IQ and that empathy and that ability to understand folks' different points of view and be able to enunciate and voice your own, and be able to find a middle ground or a common ground between all these various people that we interact with every day.
Amazing. Unpaid advice often overlooked, and it's really easy to get lost in the scope of being an IT person with a spec in front of you and not really knowing why you're doing it and just doing it. If you're describing now, like, is definitely something that makes innovation happen instead of just following commands.
Yeah, for sure. Like being able to do this cross-functional relationships, to build these interactions with folks from all walks of and all types of expertise. Yeah, that's what makes innovation. That friction where you argue for 15 minutes, but you end up being that much happier and just feeling like you're seeing clearly for the first time. Like, oh crap, that actually makes sense now. Yeah,
And
for sure.
that's how the WordPress community works too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's beautiful. We're running a little short on time, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask, where can people find you so I can leave the information in the video notes.
Absolutely. So I'm on LinkedIn. My website is alex.dev, where you can email me or reach out there. You can find me at alex.culture.com as well. But yeah, again, I'm not the super social butterfly, but if you reach out, I'm more than happy to chat about anything and everything. It feels amazing when folks actually reach out and want to chat. Yeah. Makes me feel good. Feel like, oh crap, maybe I'm not maybe I actually am able to
Exactly. I was just
interact with folks. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. We're all humans. Well, is there anything else you want to say before we head off?
Just thank you so much, Christos. Honestly, you've been great, and it's as I was saying at the start, you have a way with folks, and you make them feel at ease, and it makes them feel at ease a lot.
I get the
the
actual podcast.
So if anybody is hesitating on making a podcast with Christos, don't hesitate at all. Just do it.
Oh.
You'll be that much happier and better for it.
Well, thanks so much. Thanks so much, Alex, especially for the lead of approval. And I hope people do take your advice.
For sure.
All right.
Thank you so much, Christos.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye, folks. See you.